have a nigga you could run to, cry on, confine and be your lover and your friend too. That shit hit different when it's genuine. To love someone who love you more like Martin DeGino when he bought her that Benz. Nowadays it be the bitch playing the nigga role. You would've thought I was pregnant with an 18-year-old. The way I dog these niggas, spit them out and chew them up. You gotta play the game of baby, it's gonna eat you up. I hate to treat a nigga exactly how he did me, cause when I'm done, he gon' feel it in his chest and knees. I'ma look you in your eyes, like nigga please. See, I told you when it's my turn, I'ma make you bleed. See, I told you when it's my turn, I'ma make you bleed. I deserve that somebody else. Baby, I deserve that.
This is Crystal Williams. She was 22 years old. She had her whole life ahead of her. And the only thing she was trying to do on the night of September 6th, 2020, was run for her life and safety. However, her ex-boyfriend made sure that never happened.
A family shattered by violence. A young woman's boyfriend now charged with killing her and her mother. Her brother was also shot. Her brother lived to tell the story. He tells our John Sherrick his sister was trying to get away from her boyfriend when he opened fire.
And before this video is done, you are going to hear exactly what he did to the woman who tried to stand in his way. Before we get into what happened that night, you need to know who Crystal was.
Yeah. President, don't look this way. You don't know anything about this.
When you tell them chicks at the street, don't come for me.
You can't beat me and you can't join me.
Dude. Oh, yours is cute. Mine look all sick. Look, where my eyebrows? All of a sudden I got this big old forehead. You all cute.
Crystal Charisse Williams was born on August 15, 1998 at North Shore Hospital in Queens, New York. She grew up in a big family with strong roots in New York City, and that upbringing left its mark on her in the best way. She was the type of girl who spoke her mind without apology. Her dad, Mark Williams, described her as someone who would always tell you how she felt and never let anyone walk over her, but who also had a softness to her that made you want to be around her. Her older brother, Mark, put it perfectly.
Crystal was mine. Crystal was my cool little sister, but I actually used to call her my little big sister. Cause she's always so ahead. She was always so ahead, so intelligent, so forward, unapologetic, and so bright. She could be a little cold, maybe a lot, but I love that about her because she was my sister. She could do that. She could do that with everybody else, but she knew she wasn't gonna do that with me. And if she did, you know, I could do it right back to her. So that was my biggest rival, one of my best friends, probably my best friend, younger best friend.
And her younger brother Malachi, who shared a birthday with Crystal and idolized her, described what it was like to just be around her every day.
To Crystal, Crystal was awesome, my best friend. I would always barge in her room, you know, because I wanted to watch a movie with her because she had the TV, and she had the big TV on the wall, and she had the big bed. We would always make like big plates, and we would eat together, and I would come in the room so often, she'd try to kick me out, and I'd just jump on her bed. She'd be like,
In 2017, Crystal graduated from Brookwood High School in Snellville, Georgia, and after that, she started building something for herself. She was selling merchandise, growing a following as a beauty influencer online, and she had plans to launch her own exclusive content. Just a few days before she was killed, she was on the phone with her aunt Sharice Kalfani asking about how to start a t-shirt line. She was a young woman building her future, surrounded by people who loved her with real momentum behind her. Now, let us talk about the man who took all of that away. Justin Dion Turner was 23 years old and living in Dunwoody, Georgia. Outside of what his criminal record tells us, there is almost nothing publicly known about this man as a person. What we do know is that he had a history with law enforcement that should have told anyone paying attention exactly what kind of person they were dealing with. Back in January of 2018, Turner got hit with 13 criminal charges from a single incident, and those charges included aggravated assault on a police officer and running from the police. Those charges followed him across multiple counties, touching Gwinnett and Rockdale as well. The case did not go away quietly either. On April 1st, 2020, Turner was arrested again in Stone Mountain on charges tied to that same 2018 case, and he sat in DeKalb County Jail for 4 days before they let him go. Here is the part that is genuinely hard to stomach. By August 25th of 2020, just 12 days before the shooting, prosecutors had quietly closed out 12 of those original 13 charges. The only thing still hanging over Turner was the aggravated assault on a police officer. The system had been watching this man for 2 years and was in the process of letting him walk free. And while all of that was playing out in the courts, Turner had already moved in with Crystal Williams. The two of them had been living together at the Dunwoody Glen apartments for less than 90 days, roughly 2 months. What started as a new relationship shifted fast. Crystal went from feeling like she was in love to feeling like she was trapped, and the people around her started picking up on it. Her dad, Mark Williams, described her as someone who would always tell you how she felt and never let anyone walk over her, but who also had a softness to her that made you want to be around her. Her parents knew the relationship had problems and hoped things would somehow work themselves out. Crystal had already tried to leave Turner once before and had not been able to get away. So by early September of 2020, she decided she was done and called the one person in her life she trusted above anyone else to come and help her get out safely. She called her mother, Danielle Sims. Danielle was 46 years old and worked as an executive assistant most recently with Primerica, and by every account, her kids were the center of everything she did.
Crystal's best friend. We'll start off by talking about Miss Danielle. She was one of the nicest people I ever met, and not everybody knows this, but for a short period of time, I used to live with Pops and Mom Crystal, and she treated me like her second daughter. Like, I instantly felt welcome when Crystal introduced me to her family, and since day one, y'all didn't say, oh, that's Crystal's friend. Like, y'all welcome me as y'all daughter, y'all sister, y'all granddaughter, everything, and I do appreciate that. I love all y'all for that. Mom, we used to call her Big D from the Bronx. Me and Crystal used to joke with her. And she was just so loving. Like, she cooked so good. Like, every day when we used to get off work, she used to have curry chicken, rice, potatoes. She used to have all that good food waiting for us.
On the night of September 6, 2020, Crystal called her mother, and Danielle didn't stop to think about it. She loaded up the family SUV, took Crystal's younger brother Malachi and another family member with her, drove all the way from Lawrenceville to Dunwoody to bring her daughter home. What none of them knew was that Justin Turner had already made up his mind that if Crystal was leaving that apartment, she was not going to make it out alive. It was a Sunday night, and at around 10:39 in the evening on September 6, 2020, the family SUV was rolling toward the exit of Dunwoody Glen Apartments on Peachtree Industrial Boulevard. Danielle, had picked her up and was driving out when Turner pulled up on them. He pulled his own car directly in front of their SUV and blocked them at the exit so they couldn't leave. Then he stepped out of his car with a gun in his hand. Malachi Williams, who was 18 years old and sitting in that vehicle, lived through what happened next and described it from his hospital bed the very next day in a phone interview.
And out of nowhere, Justin cuts us off and comes out with a gun. And he pulls Crystal out at gunpoint. My mom gets outside. My mom is over her, using herself as a shield for my sister. And he was point blank, like he was right there. And he just shot. Boom, boom, boom. And then all of a sudden, I guess he just pointed it at me. He just wanted me dead. I don't know how he missed.
Malachi said his mother had always told her children she would die for them, and on that night she showed she meant every word. Turner opened fire at point-blank range. After shooting Crystal and Danielle, Turner turned the gun toward Malachi. Malachi was hit but somehow survived, and he says to this day he still can't understand how Turner missed him at that range. Turner ran from the scene immediately. By the time the paramedics arrived at the scene, they found Crystal non-responsive and she was pronounced dead right there at the scene. Danielle was rushed to Grady Memorial Hospital, but she didn't make it through the night. The young family member who was also in the SUV was not harmed. Police found 8 shell casings on the ground in front of the family's vehicle when they arrived at the scene. With 2 people dead and 1 in the hospital, Turner spent that night on the run. Dunwoody police launched a manhunt, and on September 7, 2020, less than 24 hours after the shooting, detectives tracked him down in Atlanta.
A family shattered by violence, a young woman's boyfriend now charged with killing her and her mother. Her brother was also hurt but survived, telling John Sherrick his sister was trying to get away from her boyfriend when he opened fire.
A mother trying to protect her children with her life.
She wasn't kidding when she said she'd die for her children.
Sunday night, Danielle Sims used her body as a shield, trying to save her 22-year-old daughter, Crystal Williams, and 18-year-old son, Malachi Williams. That's what Malachi told me on the phone. He said his sister, Crystal, was arguing with her live-in boyfriend, 23-year-old Justin Dion Turner, and she was trying to get away from him to go home with her mother. And as Crystal and the family were driving out of the apartment complex, Malachi said Turner blocked them with his car. Malachi was wounded. Turner drove away. Dunwoody police arrested Turner Monday. Jail records show Turner was arrested this past April, charged with aggravated assault against a police officer, and was released a few days later. No indication yet what the status of that case is. Malachi Williams speaks of how his sister Crystal had tried to get away from Turner before and could not. He described her as the family's light.
My sister was the funny one. She was just the life of everything. I'm angry and sad. I've never felt that type of combo before.
Turner didn't allow them to arrest him quietly either. He ran, and there was a foot chase through the streets before police took him into custody. He was brought back and booked into DeKalb County Jail. The initial charges against him were 2 counts of murder, aggravated assault, and possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony. As investigators continued building the case, those charges were expanded to 2 counts of murder, 3 counts of aggravated assault, and 3 counts of possession of a firearm during the commission of a felony, which covers each of the 3 people he attacked that night. At his first court appearance on September 9th, DeKalb County Magistrate Judge Joyce Neal looked at the charges and refused to set any bond at all. Turner was ordered to stay locked up with no possibility of bail. Malachi Williams, still recovering from his wounds, called into the news from the hospital and made it very clear where he stood.
The brother talked with me on the phone tonight, telling me how the sister's boyfriend came after the family last night with a gun here at Dunwoody Glen Apartments. He described how their mother gave her life to save her children's lives, jumping in front of the gun as the boyfriend opened fire.
I've never felt that type of combo before. And it's immense anger and sadness. I'll never forgive him ever in my life.
Domestic violence researchers have been saying for a long time that the most dangerous moment in any abusive relationship is the moment the person tries to walk away. The statistics that came out at the family's vigil later made it plain just how true that is, and we are going to get into all of that right now. 9 days after the shooting, on September 15th of 2020, nearly 100 people gathered at the Dunwoody Glen apartments, right in front of the exact spot where Crystal and Daniel had been shot. They brought candles and sad tears. The vigil for Daniel Sims and Crystal Williams was not just a night of mourning. The family made it into something bigger than that, turning their personal pain into a message that could protect someone else. Multiple family members stepped up to the microphone and spoke directly about abusive relationships, about the warning signs people miss, and about what they wished they had done differently. Crystal's father, Mark, was one of them. He stood at the very place where he lost his daughter and said what most parents in his position would never be able to get through out loud, admitting that the family had seen signs with Turner and that talking to Crystal about it had not been enough to stop her from loving him. He spoke directly to other parents in the crowd. The best I can say is if you see something wrong with the person that your daughter is dating, try to make it clearer for her to understand that she could be a statistic. Make sure to keep an eye on her and make sure that if she's being battered, you take matters into your own hands. Call the police or call a helpline. Crystal's aunt, Asia Green, also stepped up and shared something that puts this whole tragedy into a context that is genuinely heartbreaking. She told the crowd that this was not the first time the family had been through gun violence like this. About 11 years before this happened, the family had already lost Asia's brother to violence. And then to lose Daniel and Crystal on top of that meant this family had now buried 3 people to gun violence. We already did this before. This is devastating. 3 times now. Crystal's cousin, Quan Green, spoke directly to women in the crowd who might be in relationships where something feels wrong but they cannot quite name what it is. She talked about the kinds of abuse that do not leave marks you can see, the constant put-downs, the way a man controls a woman's money and tells her how to spend it, the slow process of making someone feel like they are less than nothing, and she made it plain that all of that counts. She told the crowd, "Get out of the relationship if a man or woman is abusing you or talking down to you. That is not love, and you need to know that." Malachi was not there in person because he was still healing from his wounds, but he sent a message through his father. He called his mother and sister the greatest women he had ever met in his life. The numbers shared at that vigil explain exactly why what happened to Crystal was not just a random act of anger, but part of a very well-documented pattern. At that time, Georgia ranked 10th in the entire country for the rate of men killing women. When a man who is already controlling has access to a gun in the home, the chance that his partner gets killed goes up by 500%. And looking at domestic violence deaths across Georgia in the decade before this happened, firearms were the cause of death in 73% of the 1,380 cases on record. These are not small numbers. These are the conditions Crystal Williams was trying to navigate when she made her move to leave, and these are the conditions that ultimately got her and her mother killed. On September 21st, 2020, the family held a joint celebration of life service for Daniel Sims and Crystal Williams at New Mercies Christian Church in Lilburn, Georgia, with family traveling in from New York, Maryland, Washington, and across the region to be there. Both women were buried together at Gwinnett Memorial Gardens in Lawrenceville, Georgia. People who had known them their whole lives sat in the same building with people who had only known them briefly, all gathered to say goodbye to a mother and a daughter who were taken on the same night.
The blessing overall is that she was able to bring her best friend and confidant, her protector, her mother, Danielle Sims, to heaven with her. Crystal was a bright light that will be missed. There will never be another fiery, fierce, genuine love like her. Rest in peace, sweet princess. Crystal was preceded in death by her grandfather, Lawrence Williams, and Dwight Green Sr., and her uncle, Ali Green. Crystal survived by her father, Mark Williams, her bonus dad, O. Sims, grandmothers Annie Williams and Barbara Green, aunt and godmother Sharice Calfani, her namesake, and who she's very much like.
Now, here's where the story sits right now. As of this recording in 2026, Justin Dion Turner has still not gone to trial. More than 5 years have passed since he shot 3 members of the same family and killed 2 of them, and he is still sitting in the DeKalb County court system described as awaiting trial. Crystal's family is still waiting for a courtroom to do what it's supposed to do. And as much as we would like this to be a story that happened only once, the truth is that it keeps happening. In September of 2025, just 1 year before this video, a nearly identical situation unfolded in Augusta, Georgia. A 41-year-old woman named Melissa Cooey Domingo was shot and killed in the parking lot of a Best Buy store during a court-ordered custody exchange for her young son. Her mother, Elizabeth Cooey Domingo, who had come along to support her daughter during the handoff, was also shot and killed. The man who did it was her ex-husband, Hajir Talibzadeh. Court documents and legal hearings that took place before this happened had already confirmed that Talibzadeh had been psychologically, physically, and emotionally abusing Melissa for years.
An Augusta woman and her mother are dead. The woman's ex-husband will be charged with her murder once he's out of the hospital. All of this unfolding in the parking lot of the Augusta Best Buy. The Richmond County Sheriff's Office says 37-year-old Melissa Domingo and her mother, 74-year-old Elizabeth Domingo, were shot and killed in that parking lot around 6:15 yesterday evening. The suspect is this man, Hajir Talibzadeh. He was also injured, but we don't know how. Deputies also tell us a child was there as this all happened. This appears to have been a custody exchange, but that's not official yet. As your Meredith Anderson shows us, this isn't the first time these two have been involved in a shooting.
My heart sank when I heard the names involved because I knew I already had documents about Melissa and Hajir. Back in 2021, Melissa shot Hajir in the head, claiming self-defense. I requested her 911 call, so I already had it when this shooting happened. And full transparency here, we debated if we could or even should play it for you tonight. Ultimately, we decided to share some of it. So if you think you need to leave the room, now is a good time to do that. But we also want to explain why. It is difficult to hear, but it could shed a lot of light on this couple's history and just how dangerous domestic violence situations can be.
911, do you need police, fire, or ambulance?
I just shot my husband. I was in fear of my life. I just shot my husband.
Melissa Domingo might have been the one who pulled the trigger New Year's Eve 2021.
All right, ma'am, is he breathing?
Yes.
But she was the victim in this case. Just last month, a judge dropped all the charges against her.
You said he was coming after you, ma'am? What was happening when he was coming after you?
He threatened me. He threatened me that he told me to put the baby down, that he was going to kill me and take the baby. You need to call an ambulance as well, please.
Still, She was arrested and accused of a violent crime for years. Even when the court later admitted evidence established a pattern of psychological abuse, control, and threats, and that she acted, quote, reasonably in this situation the night she shot Hajir.
No, you're gonna hurt me. No, I want to tell you something. You're gonna hurt me.
During that call, you repeatedly hear Hajir try to get Melissa to come closer to him. She says she's afraid, but just before help arrives, he makes one last plea.
Let me tell you something. If I die, you go to jail on day 56. I know. We need to get to the hospital, okay?
Hajir survived that shooting. And again, he was injured in this one. We don't know how, if it was during a struggle or if it was self-inflicted. He is expected to survive. As for Melissa, the court documents show a doctor diagnosed her with PTSD, Stockholm Syndrome, battered person syndrome, and panic disorder as a result of her years.
The courts were fully aware of who this man was. In fact, just weeks before Melissa was killed, a judge had granted her full legal immunity for a previous incident where she had shot Talibzadeh in self-defense because the judge found that she had been living in genuine fear for her life and her child's safety. She had done everything the system told her to do. She had a court order, was at a public location, and had brought her mother with her, but she still got killed. Her 5-year-old son was in the car and watched the whole thing happen. He later asked the people around him, "Why did you shoot Mama?" Talibzadeh was arrested and charged with 2 counts of murder and cruelty to children, and bond has been denied every time it has been requested. And just like Turner, his case is still pending as of 2026 with no trial date set. The pattern is real, documented, and costs people their lives. The system had Turner in its hands 5 months ago and chose to let him go. And 12 days before the shooting, they were in the process of dropping his charges entirely. How can such incidents be prevented? Let me know what you think about the shooting in the comments section. Also, click on one of the cards on your screen to see more videos like this. See you in the next one.